Throughout 1977 to 1985, Kenner produced several playsets for their Star Wars toy line, each having its own unique play features that varied in function and form. While some of these action features were spectacular and had amazing play value, others truly missed the mark. Join me while we explore what I consider to be the top and bottom 3 Kenner Star Wars playset action features. As this list is extremely subjective, let's first discuss what guidelines I have for determining what does and does not make a good action feature. Firstly, the feature must contain significant play value. This means that from the perspective of a child, this should have been something that could provide hours of fun and interaction, and when possible directly reference something that happened in one of the movies. Secondly, there should be an element of durability and robustness when it comes to the action feature. If there is a fragility factor, then this will eliminate that particular feature.
Fragile!
We'll also focus only on US Kenner releases and not any of the playsets produced by Palitoy. Lastly, while some may have multiple features that are great, we will only focus on one of these for each playset. This list will be only my opinion, and if you feel differently, that is certainly fine. One of the great parts about collecting is that we can all have our individual reasons and opinions as part of a community. Before we discuss what I consider to be some of Kenner's missed opportunities, let's first look at their successes. In the number 3 slot is the Imperial Attack Base. While there are several play features on this toy, I feel like one stands out above the rest. The Ice Bridge feature is an amazing yet simple play feature that provided hours of excitement. With the press of a button, a soldier could be toppled, or the Empire could cause destruction to the rebel stronghold. While this particular toy was denoted as being for the Empire, I feel that it is truly a rebel base defending from Imperial attack. It can be clearly seen that this is the toy representation of the rebel entrenchment from the Hoth battle in The Empire Strikes Back. This is why I choose to populate this playset with my Hoth rebel personnel in my display. Coming in at second place is the Dagobah playset. Its numerous play features are outshined by one, in my opinion. Being somewhat reminiscent of Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the 2 action levers can be moved to recreate Luke Skywalker's cave encounter with Darth Vader. Or it can be used to simulate Yoda and Luke interacting, or even R2-D2 interacting with Yoda. The possibilities are endless. That's why this play feature is definitely worthy of a spot on my short list. And first place goes to the Trash Compactor on the Death Star. It has infinite play value. From being able to rotate the crank to move the walls in on our heroes, to simulating the attack on Luke by the Dianoga creature. This playset can be used to recreate one of the more memorable sequences in the original movie that started it all. Originally containing foam pieces to simulate the garbage, very little of this foam still remains in existence. Most has disintegrated into dust, much like the foam from the quicksand feature in the aforementioned Dagobah playset. This is an unfortunate reality of many of these toys. If you are lucky enough to still have the foam pieces, be sure to keep them in a climate and humidity controlled environment. This will slow down their deterioration.
No disintegration.
I would like to give an honorable mention to the Droid Factory playset. As one of the criteria was being able to recreate scenes from one of the movies, this particular playset falls short on that. However, the play value of being able to create your own droids would certainly have kept me entertained for hours as a child. Now that we have reviewed my selections for the 3 best playset action features, let's look at my picks for the worst 3. The criteria for being on this list would be if there is a lack of playability or play features in general. Another deciding factor would be if it is fragile in nature and could not stand up to playtime or could be destroyed easily. In third place is Jabba's Dungeon. A reuse of the Droid Factory with some small modifications, it has very little play value. It is essentially a plastic base with a crane on it. To compound its shortcomings, its main play feature of all things is a torture mechanism for droids? How sadistic is that? Kenner even reissued Jabba's dungeon later on in a different color. Both versions were Sears exclusives and included their own set of 3 bonus action figures. These playsets were made as an obvious attempt at promoting new figure offerings. Coming in at second worst playset would be the Rebel Command Center. Again, this playset was the reuse of a previous toy. Originally released as the Land of Jawas, and then again later as the Hoth Ice Planet playset. All are plastic bases with cardboard backdrops. However, the Land of Jawas and Hoth Ice Planet did both have extra playability with the addition of the escape pod and radar cannon. They also both featured an elevator mechanism. However, with the Rebel Command Center, Kenner opted to remove any extra features entirely. While the artwork on the backdrop is nice, from the perspective of playability, it is essentially a photo and a picture frame. Much like Jabba's dungeon later on, the Rebel Command Center was also a Sears exclusive and included 3 bonus action figures. Taking the prize for worst playset ever is the Cloud City playset. Similarly to Jabba's dungeon and the Rebel Command Center, the Cloud City playset was again a Sears exclusive that came with bonus action figures. However, with this particular offering, Kenner threw any form of durability that the toy could have had to the wind. Constructed of thin poster board-like cardstock, this playset can barely hold the weight of itself when put together. It is little more than a backdrop. To add insult to injury, this was the sole playset of Cloud City that we ever received in the 3 3/4 line. It is amazing that Kenner neglected to make anything further than this one playset to represent Cloud City.
I don't get it.
Especially considering that other than Hoth, it is the only other large set piece in the entire movie of Empire Strikes Back. That is why the Cloud City playset wins worst playset of all time, in my opinion. Hopefully you've enjoyed this look at some of the wins and losses in Kenner's Star Wars figure line. If so, please feel free to like and subscribe in support of this channel. And don't forget to ring the bell to receive notification of new vintage toy content. And as always, see you next time on Plastic Recollections.